Okay, with that. So I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the West Basin Municipal Water District. And with that, we will have determination for Mr. General Manager.
Yes. Director Scott Houston. Here. Director Don Deere. Here. Director Gloria Gray. Director Harold Williams. Here. President Desi Alvarez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And next up, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. They lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Director of Human Resources.
Okay, have everyone please stand, face the flag, put your right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Next up is public comments. Mr. General Manager, do you have any public comment?
President Alvarez, we have not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak under public comment, please let us know by raising your virtual hand. President Alvarez, I do not see any request for public comment.
Okay. And then we will move on to presentations. Several presentations today. Two of the presentations are recognition presentations. One is for the International Day of Peace and the other is against Hate Week. And we'll be making those presentations to the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate. And we're going to have a very interesting presentation. We're going to have a shared meeting. They're going to be joining us from their meeting via Zoom. So I know, Mr. General Manager, if you'd like to make that all work.
President Alvarez, I did notice that we do have some guests from this organization joining us today. I believe I saw Vanessa Poster. And if she wanted to go ahead and introduce the members of her team that are with them, because they have their board meeting at this time, that's my understanding.
Welcome.
I think Hildy is also here. Hildy will do that.
Hello.
And Director Gray has joined us.
Thank you.
Hildy, the unmute is on the top.
We'd like to welcome both of you and the rest of your board members that are at the meeting today.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
There we can hear you.
Okay, did you want us to just introduce ourselves? Did you want to go ahead with the proclamation? I'm not sure what you were hoping for at this time.
We can do the presentation of the proclamation, but if you'd like to introduce, I don't know if there's any other board members present or it's just the two of you.
Oh, so thank you for that. We were trying to zoom in from our own meeting, and unfortunately we couldn't do it from our meeting. So we have members that are just going to be jumping in here to appreciate the board's entering this proclamation. I'm trying to look at the list, and I see that another member, Sally Peel, is also attending from the coalition in addition to Vanessa Poster. I can't see the whole list, so I'm not sure who else has been able to zoom in, but we weren't able to do it from our meeting. So I apologize for that.
Oh, no problem. So I will read the proclamations and we'll begin with the International Day of Peace. Whereas International Day of Peace was founded by the UN General Assembly in 1981 and is recognized as a day to build peace among everyone above all distinction. And whereas International Day of Peace celebrates this year's theme of cultivating a culture of peace, which displays the principles that are essential to a united world, such as human rights, fundamental freedoms, and a commitment to solidarity that ensures individuals are accepted at all levels of society. And whereas International Day of Peace calls for a 24-hour ceasefire to reflect on the cruelties that have occurred around the world while using this time to commemorate victims of war that have sacrificed their lives for our freedoms to make our communities safer. And whereas International Day of Peace spreads education and awareness on issues that have served great importance to our world and encourages people to have morality rather than acting out of hate and violence. And whereas International Day of Peace promotes all nations to live in harmony as one human race to create a society of values that can be shared or appreciated despite the cultural and political contrasts that separate us. Now therefore be it proclaimed on this 26th day of August 2024, the directors of West Basin Municipal Water District hereby observe International Day of Peace on September 21, 2024, as an annual acknowledgement of the peace that is present in our world and that should be maintained every living day as we strive to address the inequalities within our society. And we have a second proclamation. And for the second proclamation, which is recognition of United Against Hate, I am going to have Director Josh Houston read it.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you both for joining us. Thank you, President Alvarez, for reading the first one. And I think we'll probably say a few words about that in a moment. But by the way, just so everybody knows, Hildy Stern not only is basically the chair of our South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate, but she's also a former Manhattan Beach City Council member. And Vanessa Poster serves on the board of the Beach Cities Health District. And we have a great coalition, I'm part of that as well, of leaders in predominantly our beach cities that are focused on, the issues of hate and discrimination, as well as putting together a number of activities for United Against Hate Week. So let me go ahead and read this proclamation. And there are proclamations being entered into by cities around our South Bay in the next couple of weeks. But here we go. United Against Hate Week, September 21 through 27, 2024. Whereas United Against Hate Week started from a campaign that was made by 13 communities in the Bay Area in response to the numerous white supremacist rallies held in San Francisco and Berkeley during 2017. And whereas United Against Hate Week was created to stop hate crimes in communities across the U.S. and inspires residents to take a stand against the dangers in their own towns. And whereas United Against Hate Week educates participants on the effects of implicit bias for them to identify and report hate crimes that further push violence into communities while driving away peace in a society. And whereas United Against Hate Week acknowledges other anti-hate movements, such as Not in Our Town, as a shared effort to raise awareness about the week's mission while building partnership. And whereas United Against Hate Week invites LGBTQ plus members and allies, faith-based groups, and human rights organizations to participate in events to spread the word about standing up to bigotry and to prevent crime. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this, the 26th day of August, 2024, that we, the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District, hereby join in observing United Against Hate Week from September 21 through 27, 2024, and support the call to action to end the cycle of hatred throughout our communities and instead become united despite our difference.
I don't know if either of you would like to make any comments.
Well, I would. I'm so grateful to the Water Board District for entering these proclamations and for recognizing how important it is for all of us as leaders and for having this broad community that you represent to stand up and make a statement about how you are supporting your communities, especially in this very important way. You know, the coalition started in 2022, and at that time we only had 15 members. We have since grown in our leadership to over 60 members. And I'm so grateful to Director Houston for being such an important and active participant in our coalition. He's brought so much compassion and a wonderful energy, and bringing the whole Water Basins community to our coalition has really made such a difference. So I really am grateful to West Basin Water District and to Scott in particular, and to Director Houston in particular, for being such an impactful voice and a sense of energy and support to our work, because our work unfortunately doesn't end, but it does make the lives of our community members more secure and hopefully better as we do try to combat the terrible, frightful, and unacceptable cycle of hate that we know has no borders, but certainly has a voice and has care from our members. So thank you so much from the Water District.
Well, thank you. And congratulations, and congratulations on building the membership of the South Bay Community Against Hate. If you started out with 20 members, you said you're over 60 now. That's pretty impressive, and I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. A very important topic, and we do live in very tense times, and we all need to be cognizant and turn down the heat. And I think these things help a lot. And if any other board members like to make any comments?
I would, Director Harold Williams here. I would just like to thank my colleague, Director Houston, for being so involved in bringing this forward, and I support it 100%.
Director Muir? No. Director Gray, do you have any comment? Okay. But with that, thank you. Director Houston, you want to make some additional comments?
If you don't mind, just for one sec. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to echo what Hildy said. She alluded to it, I believe, that, we are a very big and diverse geographic area, 17 cities, almost 1 million residents, all manner of ethnic groups and people that just span the spectrum in our cities we serve. And I also think our board, of course, reflects that. And I'm really glad that our board is usually pretty forthright when it comes to how we feel about these type of issues. And I know some people think, why should we take a position? But I think as public agencies and public servants, we should. And thankfully, we do have the county, which does a lot of good work on our behalf, as well as a number of our cities. And some of them do more and some do less, and some of them are struggling. But fortunately, especially in the beach cities, and that does include El Segundo, it's a beach city. A lot of people forget that. But we have, really good elected officials in our city leadership. They're also committed to, taking a stand against these kind of things. And just, because some of our staff live in the South Bay, some do not. But we do unfortunately have a number of incidents, whether it's anti-Semitic incidents that have been going on, or it's anti-LGBTQ plus incidents. Things are happening. And so it's incumbent upon each of us to, 1, stand up to it, 2, bring attention to it, and 3, do our part. And so last but not least, and that's why these two things are very important. So United Against Hate Week this year is September 21 through 27, and it's celebrated around the state and possibly parts of the United States, but certainly in California. So ironically, International Day of Peace happens to fall on the first day of United Against Hate Week. So International Day of Peace is recognized around the world, and that's through the UN. And people will be gathering that day at peace polls across the world, but in the region. And so in the South Bay, we'll have a number of peace polls at some of our cities and school districts happening around noon that day. There'll be some advertising going out, as well as the Beach Cities Health District has a peace poll. They'll be gathering. So people can have an opportunity just to gather and have some moments of reflection. And then the other thing is, during September 21 through 27, we've got a series of events that will be happening in different communities that are designed to bring people together and address certain issues, as well as, for example, a candlelight vigil, on the Thursday night in El Segundo, just, as an example. So again, a lot of information will be going out, and the Easy Readers had some ads. And I just want to say thank you to our coalition. It's a great coalition, but we are also looking to continue growing and be bigger and broader in the South Bay. So with that, again, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Hildy and Vanessa and any of the others who were able to join us. The meetings are simultaneous today, but we do appreciate it. And, I'm certainly here to support, but I think you can count on the West Basin Water District to help do our part too.
And would you, either of you ladies, like to have any closing comments? Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, next item up is items too late to be advertised. I don't believe we have any.
I think you skipped something.
Yes, we do have one more presentation. It's item 5C.
Oh, sorry, I did put them. Mistake. Go ahead, Mr. General Manager, would you like to introduce William Curran?
Yes, thank you very much, President Alvarez. As you all know, West Basin was contacted by Alexa J. Whitman from Woodard and Curran. She serves as the Vice President and Senior Client Manager. She is joining us today with her colleagues, and I'll do a quick introduction. We do have Allison Watson, the Chief Executive Officer. We have Jay Sheehan, an O&M National Business Development Leader. We have Anthony, I'm going to mispronounce, but Nakarado, O&M Client Manager, and David Sibelman, the Chief Executive Officer, joining her. And so with that, I'm happy to throw it over to Eliza Jane.
Thank you. We're very pleased to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us to participate and introduce our team and some of the folks that are going to be presenting here today. You already introduced them, so I won't repeat that, but they're seated here in the back, and we're all very pleased to be here. Just want to confirm we've got 15 minutes. Is that right? I believe. And then obviously Q&A afterwards if there's any questions that the board has of us. Next slide, please. And actually maybe 2 slides because we've already got that. So I am fortunate. Back in 1996, I was the project engineer for West Basin's phase 2 for microfiltration and reverse osmosis on the design build project. So I was very much a junior engineer, but had that opportunity and have always been tracking West Basin ever since, just because it's such an innovative and head of the curve organization, as well as technology focused, and a leader obviously in the water industry. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about Woodard and Curran, because we too are innovative, focused on technology. But one of the other things is really thinking about partnerships and wanting to make a difference in the community. And you're going to hear from our CEO as that relates to what we do as a company, which I think does differentiate us. Yes, we're known for planning and engineering in water and wastewater, but we have this other aspect to us that is very important and kind of a key component of who we are. And one of the things that you're going to hear about are some of the long-term relationships and clients that we have. And that is part of who we are in our DNA. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jay, who's going to talk more, who is focused on our O&M. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm Jay Sheehan. As a reminder, I'm a registered professional engineer as well as a licensed operator. So that puts me in a position of being in both sides of the table. You might all be familiar with our engineering work, but you're probably not familiar with our operations as much because we've got that 20-year relationship on the engineering and planning side. Next slide. So we're going to go through a few things for you, and we organize the presentation along with your strategic goals. So the 5 strategic goals that West Basin has laid out, we want to kind of go through some key ways we can help you with your goals and strategies. Next slide. So enhancing West Basin's water supply reliability. We have a bunch of ways that we think we can help with that. Victorville is a water district that's run by the city. And this was our first Title 22 project that we delivered as a design, build, operate back in 2010. And we've been running it ever since with multiple upgrades and expansions. Some of the lessons learned from Victorville that apply to West Basin, we really baby the membranes. And what that does is we're able to get more life out of those than the manufacturer even says that you can. And the first set, we got 2 extra years, which defers capital expenses in the amount of $750,000. Those 2 extra years represented a lot of extra time. We also coordinate closely with our dischargers, so the industrial dischargers, et cetera. And we use real-time monitoring, and the results of that are that we've had no out-of-spec water go to our recycled water users over that 15 years. So we just really keep an eye on water quality. So that aligns with your goal of water quality the same way. Your second goal, strategic goal, is about financial success. Next slide, I'm sorry. And financial success is something we focus on greatly, of course. And there's a whole bunch of things, these 5 balls that we will go through kind of one by one and show you how that adds to financial success. Next slide. So the first is just starts with the contract. Open book accounting means that you're only charged what is expended. We prefer this contracting model. We find that it creates a long-term vested partnership because it's completely transparent. Anytime you want to look at the books, they're open to you to look at. But that also means that if we reduce staffing, chemicals, power, anything, all that savings gets passed back onto you. And that's pretty fun for our clients. We set a budget. At the end of the year, sometimes we write them a check. So we literally, if we're under budget, we write a check for that when we square up. We also strive to optimize. That was another key thing, is optimization. Our optimization team will essentially live at your project during the startup and return annually to find savings. In the first 3 years of one of our projects in San Antonio, this represented about $200,000 per year that we were under budget. And again, that was the time where we write a check for $200,000 a year. Technology plays a critical role in optimizing and savings. We're piloting technology at a Massachusetts project where we expect to save about $350,000 a year chemical usage by using a physical mixing system. And that will take away this $350,000 chemical expense, replace it with a $100,000 capital expense, and pay back immediately. So that could represent up to, multiple $1 million over a 10-year period. We already have some ideas on technologies, and we've talked to staff a little bit about that. So we think we can bring some things to West Basin. We also have a financial solutions team, and what the fiscal solutions team does is look for grants, look at rates, really keep an eye on finances. We know you do that yourselves, but we're your backstop. Our fiscal solutions team has already raised $1.1 billion for our clients nationwide year to date. So essentially, when I say raised, captured either grants or loans or whatever. But we're an extension of your staff looking for those economic opportunities. And then asset management's also a really critical item. Asset management has the ability, if done well, to save about 40% of CapEx, prolonging and extending the life of assets. And I mentioned extending life of membrane in Victorville. We've also done that. We have a reclamation project or a recycled water project in Connecticut, where we've extended the life of the Paul membranes, a little different membrane system. They have an expected life of 7 years. We've gone 11 years on that same system. They're operating perfectly still. Every year is about 100,000 plus of deferred capital. So we're at 400,000 accounting. Next slide. So another thing, go to the next slide, actually. Oh, sorry, I went one too far. Okay, sorry. So our operational success is also based on being able to staff the project. With the silver tsunami, with the workforce challenges that that operations has, that it's hard finding operators. We have had some pretty tremendous success filling vacancies. I've been with Woodard & Curran for 26 years. We tend to have people with long time with the firm. And it's because we treat our people right. So our time to fill a position is about 30 to 35 days for an operator, where the industry time is about 64 days. The turnover rate for the industry is about 16 to 18%. And at Woodard & Curran, we're in single digits every year. So these are ways that we can help fill these roles at West Basin and keep you staffed and functional. We also have a strategic partnership. We mentioned that David Seidelman's here, who's the CEO from Operational Technical Solutions, OTS. David has 173 active operator licenses in the LA area alone, class 3 and above. So as a partner, he can help us quickly fill positions in less than that 30 days. Next slide. So strategic goal number 3 for the basin is providing high quality water to your customers. And that's one of our top priorities. We do that by making sure our staff is trained, health and safety, technical areas, managerial areas. We have a training program that we roll out to all plants nationwide. This year included PFAS, asset management, capital planning, anaerobic digestion, process, and many more. We set up, another thing we do is we set up a different operation scenarios based on the water quality coming from our source. So we work with Hyperion to find out what the different scenarios are. And then as you see the water coming in, we can shift to a different operation. We did this successfully in Illinois with one of the industrial manufacturers that brings in food waste as a major discharge. So that makes high BOD, highly varied influent. And this makes for better operators because they're knowledgeable, and it makes for a better operation. And the last one, before I turn it over to Allison, next slide, is everything starts with customer service, and everything's in which is strategic goal number 4. We want to boost that for you. Some ways we'll do that is you can see on the right, we created a sample communications plan that talks about the frequency and the different audience that we're trying to get to. Sometimes the audience is this board. Sometimes the audience is the management team. Sometimes the audience is the public. It could be the schools. It could be part of the STEM efforts that you're doing in the community. And we want to create a communications plan with you that meets the needs of the utility. And then we'll revisit this on an annual basis, and we'll update it and tweak it and make sure that we're doing everything that you're looking for, communicating internally and externally. We also employ community communications experts that can work on social media and other things that came from the public sector. They know how to do that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Allison.
Next slide, please. I'm Allison Watson. I'm Woodard & Curran CEO, and I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you for having us. I'd like to say just a couple words about your strategic goal number 5, which is environmental sustainability and the alignment with Woodard & Curran's mission and vision. Our mission is on the screen. You don't have to read all of it. You can, but there are 3 main components. It starts with a commitment to our employees. The middle is a commitment to our clients. And the last item, and you can see in bold, is our commitment to the environment and holding the environment in a regard higher than any other considerations. And that's a mission that we actually live by. Similarly, our vision is very simple: clean water, safe environment, healthy communities, and happy people. So that's what drives our people, and that's what drives our organization. Next slide. And I think it's most easily seen in the Woodard & Curran Foundation. So the Woodard & Curran Foundation is a 501c3 organization that was founded in 2010 by our employees. It's fully staffed and funded by our employees. And as of today, we've distributed more than $1 million in grants for water and environment programs globally, including here in 2017 in LA. You can see a grant recipient was the LA Clean Tech Incubator with a conservation focused program. So very in line with what we're all about. And we really like the alignment with your strategic objective number 5. Next slide. So hopefully by now you have some sense for our understanding of your goals, how we would strive to meet your goals. And we really do think that our partnership with OTS to help with staffing considerations, our fiscal solutions to help with funding and financing, as well as our partnership approach speaks for itself. But before we close, I wanted to give a couple more examples of similar scope and size projects that we do. Again, you may be more familiar with our engineering team. Next slide. So first I wanted to touch upon Water Conserve, which is one of the largest beneficial reuse programs in the world, located in Florida, that we've been operating for about 30 years now. So as you well know, when you operate a project for that length of time, you see a lot of turnover. And over the time that we've been operating the facility, the staff has reduced from 35 down to 18, and that's through efficiencies. So we've worked hard over the years to help the organization to get as efficient as possible so that we haven't had to replace people. So our approach is not to come in and cut staff. It's really to try over time to create efficiency for the organization. And with the turnover and in particular retirements, as you're also well aware, there's the danger of losing that intellectual property and that understanding of the system. So we've implemented a really interesting and novel AI and machine learning effort at Water Conserve to help to automate some of that knowledge as it walks out the door to help with those staff transitions over time. We've also worked with the staff to identify use for land that was previously not being used to develop an alternate source of revenue for Water Conserve. Next slide. Another example is Boston Water and Sewer Commission, where we operate a 320 MGD facility. We've been operating that for almost 25 years. This is in a portion of South Boston that used to frequently suffer from expensive and costly overflows. And in the time that we've been operating the facility, they've had 0 overflows. So a really solid track record. And in closing, next slide. Thank you. Does anybody know John Sullivan, the chief engineer at Boston Water and Sewer? I like this quote from John, and this was back when he selected Woodard and Curran, so about 25 years ago. But he said they chose us over other firms for 2 reasons. First, they believed we could do it. But second, they knew that they would be our highest priority because we couldn't afford to fail. And I want to touch on that for a second because there's something that is different about Woodard and Curran that you may or may not be aware of. When you think of the other organizations that you're probably going to hear from, the Veolias, Suez, Inframark, Jacobs, PERC, they're all investor owned. They're all either publicly traded or they're owned by outside investors. And those outside investors have one objective, and that is to turn the greatest profit possible on the backs of your ratepayers. Woodard and Curran is employee owned. All of our owners work for the company, and we are all focused on our mission and our vision. And we approach clients as partners and projects as opportunities to partner with you and to bring those benefits to the communities where we also live and work. Next slide. So in closing, the goals and objectives of your strategic plan will be adopted as our own through a partnership. And we really do appreciate the time today. We look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to be a partner to you in the long term and to work as a team together to bring those benefits to the communities that you serve. Thank you so much. And if there's time, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions from any of the board members?
Not at this time, thank you.
Director Houston.
I do have a question. I didn't hear this. So where are you all based out of?
That's a great question. Our headquarters are in Portland, Maine, but we operate out of 27 offices nationwide. I personally am based in San Francisco.
Sure.
I'm in San Francisco.
Director Gray, go ahead.
No, I don't have any questions. Oh, I do. I think I missed the name of the company. What's the name of your company again?
Woodard and Curran.
Oh, Woodard and Curran. Say it again, I'm sorry.
Woodard and Curran.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
If there's no additional questions, I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. And we've learned a little bit more about Woodard and Curran. So thank you. If you have any questions of us, feel free to ask. Otherwise, you did a great job.
All right, thank you so much. Enjoy your afternoon.
Then we will move on. There are no late items, or are there?
There are none.
Okay. And so we'll move on to the consent calendar. If no one wants to move anything, here any of the consent calendar items, I will look for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, so take a vote.
Director Scott Houston,
Yes.
Director Don Deere,
Yes.
Director Gloria Gray,
Yes,
Director Harold Williams,
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Yes, with a no on 17.
And just to confirm, that was items 7C is in cat and 7D is in dog.
And we'll move on to the action calendar. And the first item is the establishment of the ad hoc committee. And I will go ahead and introduce this item. This item is requesting the board's approval of a new ad hoc committee to look at issues associated with office building. And for the bylaws, ad hoc committee can investigate special issues. We've looked at this issue in the past, kind of left it pending, and it's probably time to revisit this issue. So I would like to get the board's approval of the ad hoc committee. My intention is to appoint Director Gray and myself on the ad hoc committee, and that we will then move forward and look at all of the issues associated with our district offices. And that includes if we need to retain any special consultants, we'll do so under the general manager's authority with the general man, in concert with the general manager. So is there any questions?
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess what I'd like to know is what's the timeline that you expect with this ad hoc committee? Because obviously we've been talking about this for a while. And, we've usually done it as a board, but you're looking at it as an ad hoc. So, can you explain that more to us, please? Yeah.
And thank you for the question.
Huh?
We have investigated in the past and it's kind of always moved forward and then stopped and we never reached any conclusion. So the intent of the ad hoc committee is that within the next 6 to 9 months, I don't want this to be an extended, long-term dragged out process.
Mhm.
That we will investigate various options, bring them back to the board for consideration. In the process, I anticipate we will probably have 1 or 2 or more special meetings where they may be either during the week or over a weekend. We have more focused discussions on some of the issues that we've identified and have flushed out for discussion by the board.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm okay with it and I'll move the item.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, we take a vote?
Director Scott Houston,
Yes.
Director Don Deere,
Yes.
Director Gloria Gray,
yes,
Director Harold Williams,
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Yes. Okay, our next item is the consideration of rescheduling the standing ethics committee meeting. General manager. Item.
Yes, thank you very much, President Alvarez. This item does begin on packet page 154. And for this presentation, we do have Hazel Vasquez.
Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon, President Alvarez and members of the board. If I can turn your attention to packet page 154. So as per the administrative code, the ethics committee meets annually on the first Monday in October. This year, the ethics committee is scheduled to meet on Monday, October 7th. However, that currently coincides with the annual WEFTEC conference. As you know, the WEFTEC conference is an annual conference that offers education, training, and networking opportunities focused on wastewater and water quality. Several of our board members attend that every year. And so we are bringing this item forward to you today for your consideration on rescheduling that standing ethics committee meeting from the currently scheduled Monday, October 7th to Monday, October 14th at 12 o'clock. So with that, I will read the recommendation on packet page 155. that the board consider rescheduling the Standing Ethics Committee meeting scheduled for Monday, October 7, 2024, to Monday, October 14, 2024 at 12 p.m. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, thank you. And it does conflict with what picked this year, so it would be appropriate to reschedule. Any comments from any of the board members? If not, can we have a motion?
Well, I'd like to. Can you remind us who's on the ethics committee?
Ethics, we have Director Deere as the chair, yourself as the member, and President Alvarez.
Great. And also the 14th is Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, I think, but I think we're open this year on the 14th, correct? Are we open? Okay, just double check. So with that, I'm okay to move the recommendation.
You, Director Houston moved it. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All right, we have a vote, please.
Director Scott Houston,
Yes.
Director Don Deere,
Yes.
Director Gloria Gray,
Yes,
Director Harold Williams,
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Yeah. All right, item 8C is consideration of a sponsorship for fiscal year 2024-25 community outreach event. Mr. Gentleman,
Yes, President Alvarez, this item begins on packet page 156. For this presentation, we have Hazel Vasquez.
As EJ mentioned, this item is on page 156. And I have one item for your consideration today. Director Houston requests consideration for West Basin to sponsor the Community's Child and Evening of Hope fundraiser event. This event is scheduled to be held on Saturday, September 20, 2024. At this time, Director Houston would like the board to consider a $500 sponsorship, and that would grant West Basin an advertisement promoting district awareness. Now, a quick note, we have not previously sponsored this event, so it would be our first time doing so. If you would like to see additional information regarding this particular request, you can see attachment A on packet page 158. Approving the sponsorship today of $500 would leave a remaining budget of $54,900. For details on that running budget, you can look at attachment B, and that's on page 4. So with that, I'd like to read the recommendation. Director Houston recommends that the board consider approving sponsorship of Community's Child and Evening of Hope fundraiser event scheduled to be held on Saturday, September 28, 2024 in the amount of $500. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move the item.
Second.
a second.
Do we have a second? All right, the motion and a second, and if there's no other comments, can we have a roll call?
Director Scott Houston,
Yes.
Director Don Deere,
Yes.
Director Gloria Gray,
Yes,
Director Harold Williams,
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Okay, we'll move on. Item 8D, ratification of the recycled water pipe repairs at the Maria Belinda McDonald Trust and Regional Water Recycling Plant. Mr. Gentleman,
Yes, President Alvarez, this item begins on packet page 165. And for this presentation, we have Jason Kong, our operations analyst 2.
Thanks, EJ. Good afternoon, directors. As EJ mentioned, it's on page 165. On April 26th, a 30-inch recycled water pipe just downstream of our microfiltration process at JMM experienced a failure to the line originally installed during the phase 1 of the project. This is located between the MF and RO processes that supplies boiler feed recycled water to the Marathon refinery. The leak impacted recycled water production, and West Basin instructed Veolia to respond immediately and implement immediately necessary repairs to restore service to our customer. Per agreement W2900, Veolia followed West Basin's Administrative Code Section 5-1.106, procurement of critical goods and services, and conformed to the formal solicitation process set forth in Section 5-1.103A for critical repairs or critical acquisition. Innovative Engineering and Maintenance was contacted to begin excavation and safely isolate the leak on a time and materials basis. They performed a temporary repair that night while the permanent fix was planned for a window during May 15th. Unfortunately, the line experienced another failure under normal pressure fluctuations on May 13th, right before necessitating another repair that night to restore operation. Both West Basin and Veolia staff contacted multiple vendors and agencies to locate the necessary material for the permanent fix. Due to the complexity of the proposed repair and the constraints of the working area, the expertise of other contractors was warranted. And so if you jump to table 2 on page 167, Core and Main, one of the contractors, was selected to source replacement parts and electrofuse the coupling with the shortest lead time and a compatible solution. The total amounts are included for reference in the rightmost column of the table. And per the contract operations and maintenance agreement, Veolia charges a 12% markup on subcontractor fees. As a result, the total cost of the repair is $146,423.29. And with that, I'd like to read the recommendation and answer any questions you may have after. The recommendation is as follows: that the board ratify the expenditures for the critical repair of HDPE pipe along the microfiltration effluent line at the JMM CRWRP in the amounts of $146,423.29.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions from any yes,
Question. Is this repair work guaranteed? And do we have what is the length of this guarantee?
I believe the parts have a warranty included, but I'll have to check specifically on the purchase order what the terms actually are. We can get back with more information for the directors at a later time.
Yes, I'd like to hear whether or not the time and material was
Sure, we can look at that too.
included in that.
so you'll get back to me on that?
When?
The next thing you know,
We'll try to email some information out as soon as possible.
Could be right along.
Yes.
No, you don't have it off the top of your head. Any other questions or
So
comments?
that's all I have.
So the total response time for this, how long did it take?
what do you mean by response time?
From the, when did you learn about the need for repair? And how long did it take to repair it?
Sure. So there were different repairs, temporary repairs. So to be specific, response from Innovative was same day, and they performed a temporary fix that same night. And there was an additional second expected repair. They responded in the same day, repair on the same night. And then at that point, the permanent fix was done on May. We have the details. Apologize. May 30th is when all the parts arrived and we performed the actual electrofusion.
Okay, so when were we actually notified? When did you become aware, or when did staff become aware of the need for repair that there was a failure?
On April 26th.
And that same day, then, what did you say, Innovative Engineering is the one that responded?
Correct.
They responded, are they under contract to us or?
Through Veolia.
Sorry?
It's through Veolia. They don't have a contract with them, but there's just on time and materials basis, they responded.
And then there was a follow-up repair that was required? And what was the nature of that, and why was that?
Due to the location of where this failure happened, it's right before the reverse osmosis membranes, and there's quite some high pressure feed pumps that feed that area. There's some normal fluctuations that happen in the pipe. Unfortunately, the temporary fix was not able to be sturdy enough to compensate for those normal pressure fluctuations, and that was the reason for the unexpected second temporary fix.
So had the original fix been done better, would you still have had a failure?
I wouldn't say so. It's a very critical location. It's quite amazing that we were able to have a fix that same night.
I'll speak up. I personally responded that night. People down literally, like you can imagine, in the dirt, in the water. And we were warned that this fix, it was a little precarious and that we should get on a permanent fix. It was a challenge to find the parts. I mean, some of us literally offered to fly to Texas or wherever these were. So it's just the nature of what we needed for that short space. And so we just, by the time we were getting the parts, the temporary fix started to give way. So we had to kind of just basically jimmy rig it back together until we could get all the parts there. And it wasn't a delay on anyone's part here. It just really is truly still a challenge to get some parts that aren't commonly used and for what we needed.
It was due to the size of the piping, it's 30-inch. It was hard to get a temporary part right in place in that short amount of time. And we needed to bring the system back online as soon as possible. During that whole course of the week when we were trying to maintain that temporary fix and when till the permanent fix was scheduled to arrive, we had to do a close coordinations between Marathon and our operations to make sure that we're operating in a very stable pressure settings to not to get all these unexpected peaks. And unfortunately, because of nature of operations, we did see those spikes and the temporary fix did fail, unfortunately, and there was a unplanned failure second time.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Drew.
I think I have two things, and one is in the end, or the big scheme of things, are we satisfied with the level of all the work that's been done at this point? And everything's been holding and working as it should? Okay. And then the other thing is, and it's been a while, but I don't remember the board being informed about this. I mean, I could be wrong, or I was not at a committee meeting, and that might be what was talked about, but did the staff email the board just this occurred?
I'll have to go back and review my emails. I do try to notify the board of shutdowns and situations. I can't recall.
We did report it in the May E&O committee.
There's some,
Last week at E&O, and I don't think we did get it. I don't recall. I was kind of surprised at E&O when you mentioned that this item had been taken care of and that it would be brought back to the full board.
I believe there's some photos in the May one we can send as well.
There were photos and we did put it in there. Oftentimes when an email goes out and when there's a loss of production or a customer is out of water, so that might be where there was a gap in communication. And that's what we worked hard on with the temporary fix to make sure they weren't put out of water and whatnot.
Director Houston's point, we should have received an email that there was an emergency repair underway and that it would be taken care of, could not be delayed and wait for board action that would be brought back for ratification after the fact.
Understood.
Because that's my one thing, and I know when people are in the middle of everything, I don't expect you to write emails and stuff unless it's really mission critical, and the general manager can inform us, but as you know, over the years, I think it's real important that at some point, the board just made aware of any incidents or situations, or at least a synopsis, so that, we're aware, as well as if we hear about it from anybody in community. And I know, we've been hit or miss over the years, quite frankly. Usually we're pretty good, but, you've had those incidents where someone, ran into something, a drunk driver, whatever, and we're informed. So I think it's just always the lesson learned. If you could, Mr. General Manager, keep the board informed, because one thing I don't like hearing about it later, like at a committee meeting or something, just personally. And, I don't even get to go to all the committee meetings, but usually be on the agenda. But, thank you, President Alvarez, too, because I think we just need to reiterate, the board has got to stay informed. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Take a roll call, Mr. General Manager.
Director Scott Houston.
Yes.
Director Don Deere.
Yes.
Director Gloria Gray.
Yes.
Director Gray. She said yes.
Yes.
Director Harold Williams.
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Yes. Okay, the next item is item 8E. We are going to defer that item after the closed session. There's some closed session items that will impact our board once you consider this particular item. So with that, we will move to item 8F, the commercial paper program review.
Yes, President Alvarez, this item begins on packet page 172. And for this presentation, we have Wendy Nakamura, our Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Jay. Good afternoon, directors. Basin currently have a 30 million commercial paper line credit that's supported by Bank of Montreal, which will be expire on October 18, 2024. Basin had this program since 2018. This program allows Basin to borrow money when needed. In May 2024, the board approved the continuity of this program. After the board approved the program, staff worked with the West Basin Financial Advisor, PFM, West Basin Outcome Global Strategy, to identify which bank West Basin would like to continue working with. The evaluation including two parts. On page 172, we're providing the options of upfront insurance costs. To continue working with the Bank of Montreal, the cost will be 35,000. If we are working with the other banks, the cost will be 141,000. The second evaluation part is the annual fee, which is on page 173. Bank of Montreal offered 0.35% annual fee for PFM data. Annual fee for line credit normally run 0.34 to 0.5. Based on the estimated insurance cost and annual fee, the most economy way for West Basin to continue the CP line program is to extend the current agreement again for 3 years with the Bank of Montreal. I just want to let the board know that West Basin will not borrow any more money unless it is very necessary. West Basin management will focus on increased water sales, bring in more revenues, and then continue to reduce our per year expenses. The 30 million line credit is just a backup plan, or if we really need the money. During our fiscal year 2025 budget process, there is a 42 million CIP project was identified for next year. West Basin is expecting $12 million loan from Federal California in FY25. And then we're also expecting $12 million net revenue came in from next year operating expenses. The 30 million line credit is there just for backup, just in case something happens that we won't have enough money to pay. Today we have John, the partner from Straddling, and Darren, the managing director from PFM. They're both online right now, ready to answer any questions the board may have. I'm posting right now for any question you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any of the board members? Director Gray, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
This is a 3-year line of credit,
Correct.
and the total cost of the line of credit is going to be?
The total line credit annually is going to be about the annual fee is $100,000 1 year just to keep the line open. And then if we are planning to borrow money, it depends on the market rate. We did get some email from PFM that so the maximum in this agreement, the maximum interest rate for our West Basin will be 12% at the max. But the true 12%, that's the max. So it will not go over 12%. But the true borrowing is depends
For
on.
that?
Huh?
I don't need money for that.
The true borrowing will be depends on the market and the date we're borrowing.
But just for the line of credit,
Yeah.
whether, if it's not used, it's gonna be $100,000 or $140,000.
It's You see, I calculated it is,
Hey, Wendy, it's Darren. I've got the numbers in front of me if it's helpful.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Director. So for 3 years, the 35 basis points in the line of credit is $315,000. So that's the fee for the letter of credit. Plus, we are paying upfront approximately $35,000 in fees. So all in, we'd be around $350,000.
Okay, that's the number I want to hear. You know exactly what our exposure is. We had a line of credit for the 3 previous years,
Correct.
and we paid a similar fee.
Yes.
And we did exercise that line of credit.
No.
So if we don't exercise the line of credit this time, we will still pay $350,000.
Correct.
And that's a lot of money. So the question I have for you is, if we didn't have a line of credit and need to borrow short-term commercial paper, what would the difficulty be in achieving that?
Can you repeat the question again?
If you didn't have a line of credit,
Yes.
but you still needed to go out and borrow on a short-term basis without issuing long-term debt, so you go to the bank, and we have a bank in more than one, I think. How long would it take to get a loan from the bank to cover our need for short-term finance?
Darren, would you be able to answer that question?
Sure. So, Director, if you went out and requested funding from a bank directly, the time period that would require is probably 2 to 3 months. The interest rate is, in today's market, greater than 5% for that.
Okay, and what's the interest, but the interest rate in this particular arrangement, will be some number of, but no more than 12%.
Yeah,
Given
so-
whatever the federal Fed rate is.
To an extent. So right now, if we were to go out and borrow commercial paper, the rate would be between 3.2% and 3.4% estimated.
Would that be the same rate we would get from another bank or one of our other existing banks? Or even this bank, since we bank with them?
No, so that I think that, let me make sure I understand the question. So the question you have is, how would the cost of our commercial paper borrowing differ from the cost of borrowing directly from a bank?
Yes, but not any bank, from banks that we currently do business with.
Got it. So in all likelihood, the cost of borrowing under the commercial paper program, just on a rate basis, would be lower. Typically, what we've seen when we borrow directly from banks is that they are basing their interest rate on a taxable rate and taking a haircut off that. So it's a little bit more expensive than when we go out and sell commercial paper to investors.
What are we talking about? I mean, what? Can you put a magnitude, a number on that?
I'm sorry, ask that question again.
Can you put a number on that? What is the difference?
The difference, I
One basis
think.
point?
So it would be the difference. We can go out and I don't have a precise number in front of me, but like I said, in other situations where recently we've requested bank financing, the rate's above 5%. So the difference between 5 and 3.4, that 3.25 to 3.4.
Okay, so there's, in your opinion, there is some difference, and we would not be in the same position to negotiate with the same bank if we didn't have the letter of credit.
So sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. So you're asking whether or not there's a difference in negotiating directly with a loan with the bank versus commercial paper. Is that correct?
Correct.
There is, correct. In my experience, there is a difference in that rate.
Substantial?
That difference that I just provided, that would be my estimate.
1.4.
Okay, I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be spending $350,000 for a line of credit that we more than likely will not end up using. And if we needed to really borrow and expand, go out and substantially borrow some money for bigger projects, we probably would go out and do the long-term finance. And I think that the past experience within 2 cycles of this is at least I've been on board, never exercised the line of credit, but we've spent quite a bit of money for it. And if you think about the $350,000, that's a lot of money over the next 2 years on a budget that we've been really tight on. And that we're looking at carefully managing for this next year and coming years. We have a lot of issues facing them. I don't consider it a worthwhile investment, so I will not be supporting this. Just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if any other board members have any comments.
Chair.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions, I think. Well, one is, we have been doing this type of program for many years, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. And I think I would ask Darren, I mean, this is not uncommon for a public agency to have a line of credit like this, no matter those incurred costs that are happening, even if we don't use the line of credit. Is that accurate, Darren?
Good afternoon, Director. Yes, that is accurate. A number of water agencies use it. It's just, it provides for a more optimal financing of certain capital projects.
Yeah, because it just seems to me that this is the best way to proceed, and we obviously talked about this at the F&A committee. You know, I understand where we could just sit and wait and decide, oh my goodness, we need to borrow some money. Let's go run around and go find it real quick. But, you know, having a line of credit is a very important thing to me. And certainly the staff has been recommending that, and we have good advisors, and it's not uncommon that public agencies and cities do this. So, you know, there is some cost along the way, but personally, I think we should be able to have the tools ready to go in our toolbox. So, you know, I support this moving forward. As a matter of fact, I'll make a motion that we move the staff's recommendation.
There a second to the motion?
I'll second.
So, any other comments from any other board members? I will make a closing comment, that yes, there are agencies that do have line of credits and pay for them. There are also a lot of agencies that don't have the line of credit, and when they do need to borrow the money, they will go out and secure financing. West Basin does have an excellent rating, and it is not at a disadvantage when it needs to borrow money. We do have quite a bit of debt that we're sharing today, and that is pressing upon us, and should be a bigger challenge to continue to fund that debt in the future. We have a budget that we just adopted, that is challenging, and staff is, to your credit, looking at, bringing in the entire fiscal expenditure for the year under budget, so that we do see some savings there. So all of that is to the good, and the expenditure of this money is not necessary, and I don't think it's warranted. So again, I will not be supporting the motion, but anyways, take a vote roll call.
Director Scott Houston.
Yes.
Director Don Deere. No. Director Gloria Gray.
Yes.
Director Harold Williams.
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
No. Okay, so,
What was the vote?
the vote was 3-2.
3-2.
So with that, do we need to have the special meeting now of the finance after the meeting? Okay, so we will, we have an information calendar. Are there any items that need to be discussed? Otherwise, we'll receive and file the calendar as well as the receive and file.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion in a second, we will have a roll call.
Director Scott Houston.
Yes.
Director Don Deere. Yes. Director Gloria Gray.
Yes.
Director Harold Williams,
Yes.
President Desi Alvarez.
Yes. And next item up is the general manager's activities report. Mr. General Manager.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. I believe staff has forwarded it to you, so you should have an electronic copy. For those in attendance, you also have a hard copy at your desk. And we will be, as always, placing that in the chat for anybody watching and viewing this meeting online. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman. I have a question or two of the general manager report real quick. And I saw on here, so you had a number of meetings, it looks like, with what, the city of Carson, Golden State Water, and Cal Water.
That's correct.
About the potential Mills Park and other projects over in that area. So is there anything you can tell us right now as to how those went?
Yeah, I think our message has been well received. Really, and you'll recall that we do have federal funding from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dedicated to these two projects. We've also been able to acquire a little bit, around $1.5 million, through the Integrated Regional Water Management dedicated to this project. That leaves a shortfall of about $900,000. And so what we've been doing is meeting with each of the individual stakeholders, that includes the cities and the retailers, to see what we can do to fill that gap. We're very hopeful. Our idea was that once we can work this out with the stakeholders and put together a package for the board's consideration, what we'll do is we'll bring that back for you to decide. We may not be able to fill the entire gap, but we're very hopeful that we will.
Very good. And I have one other item, the Urban Water Institute. So it looks like, I think you went out there. I don't know who else went out there, or if any directors did, but you know, how did the conference go, or did any of our staff go?
Yes, that was attended by myself, as well as our Assistant General Manager, Eric Owens, and Director Harold Williams. You know, I thought that the presentations and the panels were of value. I think more than once they discussed the fact that sometimes the views at Urban Water Institute are a little bit, you know, controversial. And I think that maybe controversial may not have been the best word, but maybe provocative. A lot of great conversations about outreach and communications. But of course, there are some discussions related to policy. And I think that one of the themes on that day was dreams. And I know that the Assistant General Manager of the Water Punishment District had an opportunity to talk about kind of dream policies. What would make work easier, and perhaps, you know, identifying challenges, what would it take to basically meet those challenges. So pretty good conference, well attended. And I thought it went well.
Very good. Thank you.
Anything else? No. Okay. We'll move on to general counsel.
I have nothing other than we have a closed session.
Thank you. All right, next item is AB 1234, reporting compliance. Any board member would like to report any activities?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just report real quick. AB 1234, since our last meeting, I think I have 3 items. On the 2nd of August, I did go up with our general manager and toured the PV lateral sites, which I thought was really valuable. I've been wanting to go up there for a while. It looks like a lot of work has already been accomplished. While we're waiting on some more to be done, but thank you, EJ, for working with me on that. And then let's see, August 17th, I spoke at the El Segundo Main Street Car Show on behalf of the district. That was part of one of our activities, as well as on August 19th, I presented at a division meeting of all the Kiwanis clubs in the South Bay region, because I was invited to do that and spoke about West Basin. So thank you to the staff for assisting in all those.
Okay. Any other comments, reporting? Like, if there's none, next item up is closed session. General counsel, would you like to introduce the closed session item?
Sure, yeah, we will go into closed session for the items that are stated on the agenda, A through D, as listed.
Right, with that, we will adjourn to closed session.
Hey. What happened?
So, we will reconvene, the regular meeting of the board of directors. And, Mr. General Counsel, do you have anything to report from closed session?
Yeah, I will report that the board took action in closed session by unanimous vote to authorize the general manager to enter into legal services agreements related to item 14P, initiation of litigation. There was no other action taken during closed session. That's report one.
Thank you. So then we will move on to director's comment for agenda items, and we will start by left with Director Houston.
Yeah, I have no additional comments. So I just want to say thank you to our staff and everyone for the last month's work. Thank you very much.
Director Williams, do you have any, comment for agenda items?
Just want to say, thanks to everyone and to my colleagues for being, great stewards of, public's money. And I miscalculated, I get it. Cool.
And Director Gear, do you have any,
I have nothing to say. Thank you.
You have nothing to say? Right. Okay. And I will then, adjourn this meeting. I don't have any additional comments, except thank you all. And we're done before 5 p.m.
I'm going to see.
Oh.